Within this decade, we will experience more change and have more progress as a global society than in the last 150 years combined. That statement was made by Peter Dudrius, the founder of Singularity University, in January of 2020. The question many of you may be thinking about today is this doomsday, the end of the world as we know it? Geopolitics, financial markets, technology? Or is it an opportunity? An opportunity to think differently and create a whole new future? I believe the latter. But I'm from Silicon Valley. I am a future-ready innovator that approaches change and having no clue without fear. And I recognize a lot of people may not share my beliefs and may just simply want to hide away or go back to the way things were. My goal today is for each of you to leave this session with three things. Firstly, an understanding, an appreciation of why all of the change we're going through may actually be an opportunity, a chance to get to your North Star of what you really want to achieve in life. So number two, why change is hard for people, and we find fear and resistance to it. And number three, a proven framework in how you can change and be future ready. No clue, no fear, with peace, purpose, exploration, action, collaboration, and empowerment. First, let's start with a little construct of what we have globally experienced over the last 150 years. Going back 150, 200 years ago, people could be said to have had a hard life, working on the farms 12, 14 hours a day. You ate what you grew, hunted, fished, produced everything yourself. But in a way, that could be kind of simple because you worked from home, you were with your family, you were part of a community, all working to build society in a simple, natural way. And then developments happened. We as people invented and came up with the steam engine, and then electricity and power, and this whole concept of we don't have to grow and make everything ourselves on our farm. We can buy products that are built in factories. And people can go to work in these factories and be paid money by the hour. The more you work, the more you make, the more you grow. And if you get really good at making things, you get promoted to be a manager, a supervisor. And then you get to go into the office and count the beans that are made and be a white-collar worker, getting more status, more money, more opportunities, more competition, and more stuff. Bigger cars, better cars that you have to work more to pay for. But our industrial age mindset over the last 150, 200 years has led us, I believe, to an unsustainable environment. Let's face it, we're killing the environment. And if you look back 10, 20 years ago, were you really happy? Think about it. I reflect at the beginning of January 2020. I was living in the San Francisco Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and I watched daily my friends and associates driving 1, 2, sometimes 3 hours to work one way. They'd get up at 5 in the morning, get in the car, get to the office about 8, work 10, 12 hours, drive home, 9 o'clock at night, grab something to eat, kiss the kids, go to bed, get up and start over. That was normal. And then COVID happened. And people recognized they didn't have to go into the office to work. They didn't need to drive and go anywhere. They could actually be productive. And if they stayed home, they could actually see their kids and participate in and help their kids in learning the schoolwork. They could go for walks and begin to be human beings again instead of humans doing, building, and making. And in ways, that was a good thing. And it was a reset for society. Now, if we think about young people that are referred to today as the lazy Gen Z generation by some, that generation had watched their parents for a decade or two do that 2-hour commute, work, commute back, fall asleep, be dead, climbing the corporate ladder. They'd seen all of the negatives of that. And they saw during COVID an opportunity to think differently. And many of them started thinking about, what do I really want? What is my purpose? Why am I here? Do I want to do what I saw my parents do? In many cases, the answer was no. And so now we see a greater awareness of thinking out of the box. Let's not work our way up that ladder and make things. Let's think about the environment and what we can do and how we can work together to improve things. So it's not surprising that the Gen Z comes into corporate life or work with a different mindset. Yes, they're happy to work hard and achieve things and be part of a team, but it's got to align with their purpose. And their purpose, at least any I've worked with, their purpose is not make a lot of money, buy a big house, be the king and the queen of the society. Their purpose is to have a good life and enjoy and leave the world in a better place than what they found it. And as they come into work, as we know it, they demand opportunities to achieve their purpose in the way in which each and every one of them sees fit. Autonomy, the ability to work when you want, where you want, however you want, and flexibility are critical. Recent McKinsey studies showed that 70% of Gen Zers will not even talk to a company about a job unless there is 100% flexibility. No demands to be in the office, no demands to work any certain hours. Have an objective, go do it, whatever and however you see fit. That's a whole different mentality than the industrial age of go and sit in a box and do things. Is that good? Is that bad? I believe it's much healthier and can be a much more productive way of working, shall we say, and will really pay off for future-ready companies. I'll tell you about one of our clients. It's an insurance claims processing company in Europe. They have offices in 30 different countries. And in their main location in the Netherlands, they have a customer service center with 100 people as customer service agents. Many times the entry-level people would come in to these roles, and what they actually did all day was sit in front of a computer, getting emails, taking phone calls from people that had claims that needed a process. And it would take them about 30 minutes to review the claim, review the policy, make sure the payments were done, make sure all the blah, 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 and then issue the payments. Since 2020, they had one heck of a time attracting and keeping people. Average tenure was like 3 months. And these young people were saying, forget that, I'm not doing that. COO had an idea, 2021. He said, there's got to be a better way. And he went out and he found an AI tool that was trained on insurance claim processing and could process a claim that used to take 30 minutes, could process it in 3 seconds. 30 minutes to 3 seconds. And often had higher level of accuracy than a worker who was tired and disgruntled. So those 100 people, only 10 were needed to oversee and make the judgment calls from the AI tool. What happened to the other 90? That company had invested in leadership training for their managers, and their managers had deep, long conversations with each of those 90 people and understood for each person what that person's objective and purpose was, the skills they wanted to build, the experiences that they wanted to have. And they realigned the 90 people not needed for processing, realigned them. Some went into customer success, going out and meeting with customers. Some went into sales. Some went into research. Some went into financial analysis. The end result in a year, much happier employees. Tenure was up by significant percentages. Happier customers from getting actual customer service. And more revenue because there were deeper customer relationships and more sales activity. So a win-win of leveraging technology to do what technology does best, allowing people to be humans. And that's what I believe this future can give us the opportunity to bring in robotics, AI, advanced technology to do what it's good at: mechanical, detailed, task-oriented, factory-type working. Let it do that, freeing people to be what we are, which is creative, innovative, thinking out of the box, away from those tasks, providing good quality service, and leveraging empathy and intuition. So yes, the world is changing. There are jobs that will be significantly impacted. I believe that is a good thing when you let go of expectations and the need to hold on to the box. The future is here, and it can be comprised of people redefining work. Yes, people will work from home, but come together when needed, whether that's in an office, whether that's in a coffee shop, whether that's walking along the river. But people should have the trust of the leadership team that each person knows the company objective, they knows where they fit within it, and why it's important to them, and they express empathy and support and respect amongst one another as they collaborate to achieve the joint or mutual purpose within the company. That's a great new future, which I believe provides a wealth of opportunity for us all to shine in new ways. So there is a North Star. There is positive ahead. The question then becomes, why is it so bloody hard for people to see this and to change? Part of the reason and part of the answer to that question is that our human brains are wired to do things in a common way. We have two sides of the brain. One side, the substantia nigra in scientific technical terms, is the side that likes routine. The left brain, the order, the processing, the details. And actually, what it does when it sees a pattern, oh, he always goes out to the car this way, gets in the car, drives the same path to work every day, and goes to the same coffee machine and makes the same coffee. That substantia nigra says, I got this. We're just going to kind of like do this on autopilot. We don't have to use all the processing power here in the brain. We just do it. It's kind of the comfort zone. And I think we've all had those moments where somebody really asks, how do I get to work every day? I don't know, I just get in the car and I end up there. That's the way our brain is wired. And it takes less energy to do things when we're in that mode. Which is why, when you think of the last 5 years, we've had blockages to everything. The patterns that we'd used for 100 years no longer work or no longer were possible. That's why this concept of change fatigue is real. Because we've had to use a whole different processing that takes a lot more energy from our brain in order to adapt. Especially when we have no clue. How long is this going to go? What's going to happen next? Oh my God, oh my God. That makes our brain get tired. Does that mean it's the end of the world? No. The good news is that's only one part of our brain. We have another part that is hardly used today. In a recent study, showed that adults typically spend 80% of their time in this substantia nigra mode, autopilot. That leaves huge capacity over here. We've got open space in this part of our brain, which is the part that thinks out of the box, that doesn't go on autopilot, that's kind of curious. What if I took a different path this week? Hey, I might see something different if I go left instead of right and circle around. Now, do some of you have kids or grandkids? Yeah. Would you agree that young children, typically, let's say under the age of 6 years old, tend to ask a lot of questions? Why is it that way? Well, what happens if we do this? Why do we always go right instead of left? What would happen if? Those young people are using this side of the brain. They're curious. They're innovative. They think big. And they believe they can do anything. A change? Oh my God, that's so cool. I was getting tired of doing the same thing all the time. We can go to the moon. Let's try it. That's using that prefrontal vortex of the brain. That's the biggest part of our brain. And for reasons I won't try to explain, but we take children at about the age of 5 or 6 and we put them in education systems that quickly teaches them you have to go to school in these hours and sit in this desk and listen to somebody talk, and these are the things you can do. That begins to put them in that comfort zone or routine method. And that's when we start to close down that open capacity for change. The good news is we can reopen our brains. It's still there. It's still there. Let's leverage the structured routines, those neural pathways that make it easy. Let's use those to execute. And more we can use technology to help us, so we don't have to spend much time there, but we can do what we need to do. Freeing us to be innovative. Will the future be better or worse? It depends. It will be different, that we know. But if we look at it that we as humans on this planet right now have an opportunity to co-create a completely different future. The industrial age is beyond us. Let's now embrace what the future can bring. I believe, and I have personal experience that shows, that when you let go of the structures and the patterns and the expectations and the industrial mindset, the world becomes your oyster, and you can be a lot happier. Much of my life, actually, say the vast majority of my life, I spent most time over here. I was always the one in school that was striving to get the best grades, always on time, expected high expectations of myself, growing up the corporate ladder, and then launching a service business to be the queen and the star. And I reflect back, literally 10 years ago, spring 2015, we had, as a company in Next Step, we had 40 team members and had a wonderful office space in the tallest, most prestigious building in Redwood City, a town in the San Francisco area. And I had so many friends that would come by the office for lunch or whatever and say, "Oh my God, you've made it. You're at the top of the heap. This is great. Fabulous, congratulations." And I look back and I laugh now because every time I heard that from people, there was always a part of me that kind of cringed, saying, "Oh my God." Because each night at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, because as the CEO, I had to be the last one to leave the office, right? So I was off to there till 7 or 8 at night. And I would walk around sometimes and I would say, "This is flippin' ridiculous. I feel like a caged lion in here. I hate this. There's got to be more to life." But I've achieved. And then suddenly, coincidentally or not, we had a client issue. We got an audit from a crazy employee that had an issue with the client issue. Our rent went up significantly for the office. And I just simply said, "I'm done. I've achieved by these standards. We've got to do something different." So we restructured a bit and got rid of the office and the lease and said, we're all working from home. And we're going to focus on what the clients need, not the expectations. And we're going to work towards the objectives of what our clients and the market wants. and do it in our own way. And I have never looked back and regretted. I look back and sometimes regret, why didn't I do it a lot sooner? But it's a freeing experience. And letting go of those restrictions gives me the opportunity to be the global nomad that I am now, and to explore and to impact in a different way, achieving my purpose, which is to have a lasting impact on leaders, businesses, and society. And I do that through collaboration with people like you around the globe. So when you let go of the fear of change, the expectations, and shift from crisis bad to opportunity, what can this open up for me? What's possible? That gives you a wide playing field to succeed and to enjoy. So yes, there are opportunities ahead. Change is hard, but there's a great reward for working through it and just understanding the human psyche in dealing with it. Now, how do you actually take this and go forward? And to answer that question, I'll take you through a little bit of a story. Another period when there was seemingly a cyclone of change, nowhere near what we're experiencing now, but that was back in 2008 to 2012 kind of period. Remember the financial crisis? Oh my God, the world was coming to an end. We'd never seen anything like it. My answer many times then was just keep perspective. There is a future out there. And we were extremely fortunate at that time to be working with Adobe, software company in San Jose. And Shantanu Naran had just been promoted into CEO as the founders moved out of day-to-day operations. Dream job. He'd worked his way up that corporate ladder, done all the right things. But within 2 years, there was the financial crisis. Adobe had always met all of the Wall Street expectations, was the darling of the tech business, the one everybody loved. But when companies were laying people off, they couldn't afford new $3,000 a pop for a software upgrade. The markets were in turmoil and revenues plummeted. The Adobe stock that had always been about $50, $60 a share went to $19 a share. The executive team, the board, the people on Wall Street were determined that Shantanu needed to do something. Just get people to buy. Discount, rebate, offer whatever. Change the sales team, change the sales compensation. Get the market back buying your software. But Shantanu kept perspective and stepped back. He didn't react. He stepped back and went for a long walk, literally and figuratively, thinking, opening that creativity, opening the innovative, questioning mindset, and questioning, what are we really trying to do within Adobe? Is our mission in life to sell software at $3,000 a pop in order to keep the stock price high? No, that's insane. And he thought back to his mentors, Chuck and John, and the mission that they'd put forth. There's nothing in this mission statement that says make money from selling software. It says to empower people to use creativity and experience wherever they are. When Shantanu went back to the office, he had a very clear vision in his mind that their purpose for Adobe was to enable creativity for all. And he sat with his leadership team around the table and set a North Star objective. In 5 years, we will no longer be known as a software company, but a digital experience service business. Now, many of the 12 around the table asked questions. How do you expect us to do that? What does that mean for partners? What are we going to do with sales compensation? How does this impact? Chantanu's answer was, I don't have a clue. But I have confidence in each and every one of you as leaders, creative, innovative, by working together and exploring, talking with customers, understanding what they are willing to pay and what's most important to them, and then trying things. Maybe it's these 2 features in Photoshop for $5 a month for all the students in the university. Let's try it. And then let's come back together every few weeks, every few months, and check in to see and to share what we're learning. And in doing so, when we find something that's really working, let's expand and empower more people to try more deeper and go further. Through that process, he was able to achieve that purpose. In 5 years, their stock moved from the low price above where it had been previously. They were known as a digital experience company. And over the last few years, that stock has been somewhere around $500 to $600 per share. Significant improvement by embracing change, shifting mindset, and exploring with peace. We are in a period of massive change in society. As people, we're faced with environmental shifts, political shifts, capitalistic haves, have-nots, nationalism, technology coming in to take over the world, young people that demand new ways of working. I believe this is a good thing. And by keeping our minds on our own purpose, what am I really trying to achieve? And how are these changes going to impact that? Taking that step away from the day-to-day activity and thinking about what's important is a first step to dealing with having no clue and not having fear. Second step is to explore. Try something new. Challenge yourself to do something differently each and every day. See how it feels. Get out of that autopilot mode. And collaborate with each other, with your clients, with your team members. Let's face it, there isn't one person that has the answer to how to be successful in 2025. We're co-creating those answers by working together and exploring and empowering both other people, but also technology to support and develop with us as we create that new society. So what does the future really mean? It's an opportunity. You can change by recognizing the 2 sides of your brain and moving away from autopilot into that prefrontal cortex, asking what if, let's try it, let's explore, and doing so in alignment with your purpose, not just the spiel of the month, but what's important to you and how is this going to really impact you. So as you go back to your office tomorrow, firstly accept change is here, and it's going to grow even faster over the upcoming years. And embrace, explore, look at new things, and work together. We are co-creating a fabulous future. If you have questions, want a sounding board, objections, disagreements, reach out to me. I believe my purpose is to have an impact on people, on business, and on society. And I am all about collaborating with people from around the world to make that happen. So thank you for the opportunity to share, and I look forward to hearing from you.